In the wrong hands, former National Security Minister overruled FLA board to grant gun to a man of questionable character, a TVJ News exclusive. Good evening and welcome to Primetime News on air and online at onespotmedia.com. I'm Archibald Gordon.
And I'm Doreen Samuels. Also this evening, picking up the pieces, vendors in Ray Ray Market pushed through after Tuesday's fire.
Don't panic, water levels fall at the Hermitage Dam, but the NWC says no additional restrictions for the corporate area.
Giving direction, Prime Minister Holness meets with state boards of energy, science and technology.
And in business news, give us a break. Printers called for a cut in duties.
There's also sports commentary and weather in this newscast, but before the break, the feedback question.
This evening, we're asking this question. Would you support a change in formal dress codes for summer months? And we're asking persons to give reasons for your answer.
Share comments online, facebook.com/television Jamaica and tweet at Television Jam.
Please stay with us. Primetime News returns right after this break.
Primetime News headline.
So we're talking about the poll question, but we'll get back to those responses in a moment. Welcome back to Primetime News.
And welcome to folks on onespotmedia.com.
Stunning details this evening of how a firearm license ended up in the hands of a man whom the police believe was a member of a criminal gang and involved in lottery scamming.
TVJ News has received documents confirming that even though the Firearm Licensing Authority, FLA, initially denied the application, the National Security Minister of the day overruled the entity.
The update comes after last year's revelation that people of, quote, questionable character, end quote, were granted gun licenses. TVJ's Andrea Chisholm has this Primetime News exclusive.
In March 2014, a man we will call Person A applied for a firearm license for a 9mm pistol. A report from the Audit and Complaints Department of the Firearm Licensing Authority, FLA, said they gave favorable consideration to the applicant. At that time, the National Intelligence Bureau of the Jamaica Constabulary Force had no intelligence or criminal concerns against Person A. But all that changed when the FLA's Audit and Complaints Department got two anonymous letters in August and September 2015. Those letters had nothing good to say about Person A, describing him as hostile, aggressive, and unable to restrain himself, adding that if Person A gets a firearm license, he would be a threat to himself and others. The anonymous letters clearly stated that Person A was developing into a don, using his businesses to disguise illegitimate earnings and assets. Interestingly too, one of the letters claims Person A paid an FLA employee $150,000 to get a firearm license. Now, those letters triggered another investigation by the police. They concluded that Person A is a member of a notorious gang, was involved in lottery scamming, and was suspected to have an illegal gun. The police also indicated that Person A was a person of interest and a violence producer. Those new findings led the FLA board and the FLA review board to backtrack on their decision to give Person A a firearm license, saying he is no longer fit and proper. Following that development, Person A, through his lawyer, appealed the FLA's decision with then National Security Minister Robert Montague. A December 2016 letter read in part, "The Minister has reviewed your client's application and has granted Person A approval for a firearm user's license for a 9mm pistol." So, TVJ News wrote to the Ministry of National Security asking why Robert Montague approved a firearm license to a man who the police say was a member of a gang and involved in lottery scamming. There was no written response from Mr. Montague, who was later shifted to the Transport and Works portfolio during the March cabinet reshuffle. TVJ News later wrote to the new National Security Minister, Dr. Horace Chang, asking for an explanation. Mr. Chang, in a letter dated June 2018, indicated that the minister's approval was based on Section 37A3 of the Firearms Act. It says, "The minister, upon receipt and consideration of the reports of the review board, shall give to the authority such directions as the minister may think fit." Mr. Chang added that he was not privy to any consideration that Mr. Montague had to arrive at his decision. The letter also stated that depending on the information presented, the Minister of National Security may change the decision of the review board. During March 2016 to April 2018, 209 firearm appeal cases were completed. The National Security Minister deferred in 29 appeal cases. In essence, the minister overruled the review board and granted firearm permits in 29 appeal cases. Andrea Chisholm, TVJ News.
In a primetime news follow-up, no time to waste. Some vendors affected by the fire at the Railway Market in downtown Kingston are back at work, even as crews continue to clear the rubble in the area. It's 2 days after the massive blaze, and vendors have already started to rebuild. TVJ's Vashon Brown visited the market today.
Down but not out. Back to school sales on in earnest at the Railway Market in downtown Kingston. These are some of the vendors who have managed to save some items in Tuesday's fire. Still, there is a concern.
We have the stuff them, but it's still devastated for us. We can't put up. How we want put up. Nobody now see things. Everybody come and them see the place, but them turn and them gone.
When we visited the area this morning, we saw cleanup activities taking place. Some vendors were not lucky. They saved nothing. They're now looking at the rubble. Stalls were destroyed in the fire, 145 of them. This container is still standing, but look inside. The contents burnt. As the investigations continue into the cause of the fire here at the Railway Market in downtown Kingston, the vendors say they're now left to pick up the pieces. In fact, they've already started to rebuild. Movita's shop is also standing. She's learned from previous fires.
And the reason why I build this is the only thing different from the container on the front in the market. The reason why I build this, we keep on a burn out. So me check say, building this now is a better idea, but me still get burn out. There's nothing I leave, nothing but me alone when I stand up right. So I borrow loan, I have to throw a partner, I have kids to eat, I have to pay bills, I have to survive now. We just have to make some compensation. Consider we.
So we picnic them here. I have to go back to school, nothing no there. We have to try a little bag juice and now somebody lend me this, one ice box, one umbrella. And we buy little things every car. If I even want a uniform or one uniform, we have to do what we can do.
Carol has been selling in the Railway Market for the past 7 years. It's about the 5th fire that she's had to deal with. She didn't lose much this time around.
Now I get to take precaution and start to carry my stuff. Sometimes it's heavy for me, but I carry it over still.
Since this is not the first fire at the Railway Market, the vendors say it's time for a long-term fix.
We want the stuff insured and we want a proper fencing or the thing them set up proper. If them could have put maybe high and start money or something, and can be willing to pay.
They build up concrete round way, and you have somebody call them collect money at the end of the week. Every Saturday you have to pay, or every day you have to pay $300. So what about this build up something that's the can burn down and you have a watchman in the place? And then we're all right.
I think that the government must put a more better facility security, and if we could get some more better stalls. Like start from halfway through them, like read something there. I think that should be inside here. I think it will be more better.
The Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation says it's conducting investigations to identify persons in need of general and emergency assistance relating to Tuesday's fire. In a statement this morning, Deputy Mayor of Kingston, Winston Ennis, said the corporation will be working to have the market restored. This is the second fire to destroy the market in less than a year. In recent times, there have also been fires at the Papine and Redemption markets. The Deputy Mayor says plans have been tabled to experiment with a variety of mitigating equipment like fire sprinklers in markets and the CCTV cameras with real-time monitoring. Vashon Brown, TVJ News.
Water levels are falling at the Hermitage Dam in St. Andrew, but the National Water Commission NWC says residents and businesses in Kingston should not worry that it will mean additional lockups are imminent. But what does the dam look like now? TVJ Shamela Pullen visited the area today and now reports.
Cows grazing in an area where water would normally be in the Hermitage Dam. In fact, if the dam was at capacity, these cows would be under 127 feet of water. To illustrate, we went through our archives and found this 2-year-old video which shows what the dam looks like when it is at capacity. But now it's just a third of what it can hold. The water level here at the Hermitage Dam is rapidly decreasing. It used to be as high as this wall here beside me. The Hermitage Dam supplies most of the homes and businesses in the corporate area. It is the largest water supply system in the island. The fall in levels of water here from inadequate rainfall is a cause of concern for the National Water Commission, NWC.
When filled, the Hermitage Dam holds some 393 million gallons of water, and at present, based on the limited inflows that we're receiving from the Wogwater River, the Morsham River, and from the Ginger River pipeline that channels water into the Hermitage Dam, because the inflows have been less than we have been needing to supply our customers by draw-off, the levels continue to fall.
It is not the lowest the dam has been. In the 2014 drought, water levels at Hermitage fell to 14%. Now it's just at 35%. But for weeks now, the NWC has been restricting supplies at nights in the corporate area. Mr. Buchanan, however, says those restrictions will not be intensified as short-term measures are sought to deal with the drought conditions, including the trucking of water.
We are also putting in place measures to take water from those systems that are least impacted by the drought and use that to augment the supplies in areas that are worst impacted. We also are taking measures to bring into operation water supply sources that were out of operation.
Long term, the NWC says it will roll out its plan to take more water from the Rio Cobre in St. Catherine to satisfy demand in the country's capital. But it's not just the corporate area which is facing the dire times. The NWC says it's struggling to maintain supplies in other parishes as the unrelenting drought brings flowing rivers to little more than a trickle.
At the moment, about 20% of our 450 water supply systems are currently being affected by drought conditions. This 20% turns out to be just about 80 different water supply systems. These are mainly systems served by small surface sources, springs mainly, that are being affected.
Shamela Pullen, TVJ News.
A top story this evening: in the wrong hands, former National Security Minister overruled FLA board to grant gun license to man of questionable character. And still ahead, more people seeking Jamaican citizenship. And in business news, printers call for reduced duties on imported machines. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. Continuing the news. With Jamaica and other Caribbean countries experiencing extreme heat and drought conditions for the summer, Prime Minister Andrew Holness is charged that the region must now embrace climate change transformation in order to survive. Mr. Holness has also commented on raging debate about dress codes in Jamaica in light of the increasing impact of global warming. More in this report.
It was a scorching day at the University of the West Indies Mona campus, like many others so far this summer. Jamaica's Prime Minister Andrew Holness, dressed in a jacket suit, was about to give his keynote address at the launch of the Caribbean Climate Change Accelerator when this happened. Billionaire businessman Richard Branson helping to remove the Prime Minister's jacket and tie. It prompted this comment on formal dress codes.
We joke at the matter now, but it's serious. In dealing with the issue of climate change, as temperatures rise, there will not just be infrastructure changes that are necessary, but there will be social changes that are necessary. And some of the debates that we are holding on to now about how we dress will have to adapt to the hotter climate that we're in.
It was timely in the context of the launch of the Climate Change Accelerator, an initiative supported by more than 25 countries in Latin America and the Caribbean.
To be the world's first climate-smart zone.
A climate-smart zone is one in which resilient infrastructure is built to reduce the risks from climate-related hazards like global warming and hurricanes. It's a move Mr. Holness, who is also a chairman of CARICOM, argues will cost the region unprecedented monies.
And the cost to us is real. The impact of climate change in the Caribbean is not a theoretical matter. It is not an academic matter. It is real.
He lamented what he describes as international bureaucracy on climate change issues, saying it is time for action. International dancehall superstar Sean Paul and the Jamaican sprint sensation Usain Bolt are ambassadors for the Climate Smart Accelerator. Countries in the region working toward reducing the impact of climate change will be awarded US $50,000, the SPEED Award.
I personally feel there was no one more fit to announce this award than me.
The 8-time Olympic champion made this call on the Jamaican Prime Minister.
As a proud Jamaican, I'm used to winning, so I would appreciate it if we could be the first Caribbean country to get to that level. So we can keep the name of the fastest Caribbean island.
Giovanni Dennis, TVJ News.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness has oversight responsibility for the science and technology portfolios. Mr. Holness, who made the announcement today, said he took on this duty on Wednesday.
Yesterday, as you know, I've taken on another portfolio. And I want to assure you, President Moreno, that I am not going to be stretching myself too much. So it is only a temporary measure. But a useful measure because it has given me the opportunity to delve deeply into the operations of some of our bureaucratic structures.
The Prime Minister is to maintain oversight of the portfolios for at least the next 2 weeks while he reviews the systems and procedures of the board. He's then expected to appoint a new minister. Mr. Holness took over the energy portfolio last month following allegations of weaknesses in governance and management at Petrojam and other state agencies under the energy portfolio. The Prime Minister also met with the boards of all agencies under the Ministry of Science and Technology as well as the Ministry of Energy.
The People's National Party PNP is claiming that investigations into the operations of Dunn's River Falls and Park in St. Ann were triggered by the theft of millions of dollars in ticket revenues at the attraction. Last week, the board of the Urban Development Corporation UDC announced that it had contracted international specialists to probe the operations of Dunn's River Falls. It did not give details. However, in a release today, the opposition spokesman on tourism, Dr. Wickham McNeil, says he understands that the current probe was sparked by the discovery of a dramatic fall in earnings despite significant increases in local and overseas visitors to the facility. He says the Major Organized Crime and Anti-Corruption Task Force and the Office of the Auditor General are among the entities probing the case. He's calling for the Minister with responsibility for the UDC, Daryl Vaz, to state what mechanisms were in place to protect the nation's revenue and the security of off-site ticket purchase transactions. He notes that the popular attraction is the largest income earner for the UDC, raking in more than $1.4 billion yearly.
The government has purchased over 30 new vehicles for the police, even as it seeks to recover funds from O'Brien's car sales for its failure to deliver used cars as contracted. That matter is now at mediation. TVJ's Prince Moore has his primetime news follow-up.
The debacle which followed the O'Brien's used car deal has resulted in a change of the government's policy on purchasing cars for the police. On June 7 this year, National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang stated that the government will be scrapping the policy and going back to acquiring new cars. When quizzed Thursday, the minister revealed that the process has begun.
This year we have a budget and I think we have acquired 40 so far based on immediate needs and availability, because pickups are something I've ordered for some time. This company had a pickups here. We will be pursuing some more before the end of the financial year, but we'll be advertising for those and seeking the best the best cost.
He also pointed to changes in the type of vehicles being purchased.
They have enough used cars, we think, and we are moving to a new field. We're buying new vehicles, and in fact, we'll be buying police vehicles in the new year. Not just used cars, police vehicles.
The Ministry of National Security paid O'Brien's more than $230 million to supply 200 used cars to the police last year. The minister did not disclose how much has been spent so far on the purchase of new vehicles. To date, O'Brien's has delivered approximately 66 of the 200 used motor vehicles it was contracted to deliver. The government is seeking to recover the money paid to the entity for the procurement of used cars. Dr. Chang says the issues which led to O'Brien's car sales and rentals failing to deliver the used cars are before mediation. He is hopeful that a settlement could be reached soon. Prince Moore, TVJ News.
More people are applying to become Jamaican citizens when compared to previous years. The revelation from the head of the Passport, Immigration and Citizenship Agency, PICA. He was speaking with journalists following the swearing-in of new citizens to the country. TVJ's Janella Precious reports.
Grace Doyaro is all smiles as she tries to capture a selfie with the Jamaican flag in the background. Originally from Nigeria, she's one of 32 people who received her citizenship documents Thursday.
I'm proud to be a Jamaican. I was so excited when I got the call. As you can see my appearance today, I came out with Jamaican colors.
The people here come from Nigeria, Sri Lanka, the Middle East, India and China.
I've always felt I'm a Jamaican at heart. It just today I became one on paper. I've been here for 18 years, so it was about time.
The lure of being a Jamaican not the only pull factor. Health worker Joan Johnson says she found love.
Over 2 years ago that I married to a Jamaican man. He's a very loving man. I met him in a taxi. I was going to look for a house somewhere in Halfway Tree.
Despite the pall of gloom associated with crime and violence, Chief Executive Officer of the Passport, Immigration and Citizenship Agency, PICA, Andrew Winter, revealed that applications for citizenship are up.
On average, we have between 3,000 and 4,000 persons, and we certainly are looking forward to that number increasing over the next 3 years.
It's why changes are coming.
We are actually in the process now of reviewing the processes for persons to become citizens so that we can certainly speed up that process. As you know, there are 4 categories: marriage, descent, registration and naturalization, and we're looking at how best we can streamline those processes, particularly to assist the Jamaicans living in the diaspora who have their children and their spouses and other relatives who would like to become citizens of Jamaica.
Mr. Winter also defended the vetting process used when granting citizenship.
We check with Interpol and international agencies. On the local scene, we actually carry out internal investigation to satisfy ourselves that you're a fit and proper person to be granted citizenship of this country. It's not a free-for-all.
So after the oath and the recital of the national pledge, the short ceremony was over. Then this parting pledge from one of Thursday's recipients.
I try and organize charity drives and yard sales to collect money for the local community, but I plan to do things on a bigger scale to try and help out as much as I can.
Janella Precious, TVJ News.
Tourism Minister Ed Bartlett says he's reviewing the policy governing the use of the Black River for safari tours. Mr. Bartlett says the review is to determine whether the current arrangement is the best with a view for greater regulation and monitoring. He said he had discussions with tour operators who highlight there is a need for orderly use of the river to prevent accidents. Mr. Bartlett said there's also the issue of harm being done to the crocodiles which serve as the main pull for the attraction. The Black River Safari tours have been in operation for close to 30 years. It is a guided tour lasting about 1.5 hours, starting in the town of Black River and ending in the Black River Lower Morass, which is Jamaica's largest wetland area.
It's a race against time to have the renovated Court of Appeals building completed in time for its September official opening. Justice Minister Delroy Chuck toured the construction site with the European sponsors, other partners and journalists on Thursday and says he's confident the work will be done in budget and on time. TVJ's Krista Campbell was there.
Across from the Supreme Court on King Street in downtown Kingston, the work is on to have the new 3-story Court of Appeals building completed in time for an official opening in September.
We expect the panels for the courts. They're coming in on the 21st, I think, of August. And once the panels come in, then the courtrooms will start taking shape. The air conditions will go in. The elevators will be in. And then once those are in, you can do the final touches.
The European Union spending $846 million to make it happen. Justice Minister Delroy Chuck says the main stipulation is that the growing backlog of court cases be significantly reduced. He's assured that will be done as the current focus is having the 2 top floors of the building completed by next month.
3 courts on the second floor. There will be a total of 14 judges' chambers. Now, since 2008, provision was made to have 12 judges and the president, but no more than 7 judges who have been operating since 1967.
And time now for the responses from our friends on Facebook and Twitter. And Archie is at the smart board.
Thanks, Lorraine. Here's our question this evening. We're asking, would you support a change in formal dress codes for summer months? And we're asking persons to give reasons for their answer. A couple of quick comments. Here's the first. I don't think a dress code needs to be done for any season. People should know how to attire themselves for different occasions. Here's the second comment. Absolutely. Formal attire, especially for most businesses, can change the dress code this summer, especially now that with this unbearable triple-digit heat. The jackets, skirts, shirts made with the heavy material that some workers are suffering can be changed for lighter, breathable materials that are still appropriate for work business, and the wearer will not pass out in them. The jackets are also not necessary in the summer. Third comment here. Of course not. Not everyone has AC in office or in the car. The heat can reach really high, so there should be a change. And our final comment is no. I would not change the dress code. It's what an individual feels comfortable wearing, so it's a no for me. Keep your comments coming on Facebook and Twitter, facebook.com/televisionjamaica, and your tweet to @televisionjam. Business news and news from overseas after the break.